Thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I am Prisca Julien. Coming up, President praises team at Maho Home for the Aged, Prime Minister Skerrit reports COP22 to be meaningful trip, and Ministry of Health confirms H3N2 and H2N2 viruses as main strain in flu outbreak. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after this.
Child abuse is unacceptable. Child abuse is not cultural, it is criminal. And one child abuse is one too many.
For more information on child abuse or to report suspected cases on child abuse, contact the Social Welfare Division on 33 Great Marlborough Street or call 266-3020 or 266-3080.
Thanks for staying with us. The President, His Excellency Charles Savre, has commended the administration of the Maho Senior Citizens Home for their excellent work in the running and maintenance of the presidential institution. Secretary of the Management Committee of the Home, Natalie Sampson, welcomed His Excellency Savre, Mrs. Savre, and the members of the President's Charities Foundation to the home on Friday. They are the first of the non-profit organizations to be visited by His Excellency the President for the Christmas season. There, His Excellency Savre complimented the management and the staff of the residential institution for a job well done.
And I believe the Board of Directors and the staff need to be complimented for the excellent work that they are doing. I know that if you're operating at 11, it will be easier for you because each family will make a contribution, and operating at 60% is challenging. But nevertheless, I think you're doing an excellent job.
During the visit, the President's Charities Foundation presented a check to the home as well as food supplies for their residents. Natalie Sampson welcomed the visitors with pleasure and thanked the President for his yearly contributions.
We do appreciate the fact that we are always considered as one of your benefactors for such great contribution. We really applaud the foundation for the work that they continue to do, because we know that when you serve on foundations, it is not very easy. You have to give a lot of your time, your effort, your talent, and maybe sometimes your own treasure. And so we really appreciate and recognize your presence here.
Sampson informed the President that since last year there has been an increase in the number of residents at the home. Currently, about 60% of the home's capacity is being utilized. Presently,
we have a few applications that we are considering, and we are hoping that by the time you maybe come back next year, we might be to full capacity. The service that we offer here is very excellent. I must commend our staff for the work that they continue to do, taking care of our elderly, because we recognize the significant contribution that these people have really given to our community and by extension, Dominica.
She revealed that the committee recently applied for funding from the Australian Embassy based in Trinidad for a solar heating system.
We believe if we are successful in getting that, which I am sure that we will, this will help to reduce the operational costs of running the home. Because as we know, electricity is a very high cost factor for any operation, and so we look forward to reducing our costs in that way.
The President's Charities Foundation normally assists 17 non-profit organizations every year. The Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit is reporting representation of Dominica at COP22 to have been meaningful. The Prime Minister, who held a press conference on Friday upon his return from the 22nd Conference of Parties, COP22, in Marrakesh, Morocco, says it was indeed critical for Dominica, as a small island developing state, SIDS, to have been present. This week, the Honorable Prime Minister led a delegation of Dominicans to COP22, comprising of the Honorable Minister for Health and Environment, Dr. Kenneth Daru, Dominica's Ambassador to the United Nations and the Organization of American States, Dr. Vince Henderson, and Dominica's Ambassador to Japan, Lloyd Pascal. At the press conference, the Dominica leader noted it was important for Dominica to be present at COP22. He says while the Honorable Minister for Environment, Dr. Kenneth Daru, will on a later date provide more information on the negotiations which took place at COP22, he is pleased with the representation given at COP22 on behalf of Dominica.
Minister of Health, Dr. Daru, will in due course update the nation on the discussions and decisions of the Climate Change Conference. And I want to say to you that I am very pleased with the leadership that Dr. Daru has provided on behalf of Dominica in respect to the climate change negotiations. But it is also important for Dominica, just as it was for St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and for Jamaica, to have the head of government in attendance at that meeting.
The conference on international political response to climate change is organized by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the UNFCCC. According to the UN, the UNFCCC was established in 1994 to reduce greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere and made the COP the supreme governing body of the convention. Delegations from the 195 countries which have ratified the convention meet every year to review the convention's implementations. Prime Minister Skerrit says one of the opportunities arising from COP22 for Dominica and other seas was the ability to debate the issue of taking to task larger countries on their contribution to global warming through the emission of greenhouse gases.
Our message in Morocco, and our message which we have been pushing forward for several years, is that the developed world, who are the major emitters of greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, that's having an impact on the climatic situation in the world, that they have a responsibility to those of us who produce almost zero greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, but who are the most affected by this phenomenon.
He says global warming is a serious threat to many countries, but especially to small island developing states, and that Dominica is not exempt from the dangers of global warming. He pointed out the effects already being evident in the loss of landmass in certain parts of the island.
The scientific conclusions are in fact happening before our very eyes. Countries will disappear.
We will bring you more from this press conference in Monday's newscast. In more news, Labour Commissioner Dr. Mahaut is reporting a successful 4-day workshop for the establishment of a regional market labour information system in the CARICOM region. The workshop, which began on Monday, was aimed at reviewing the use of a labour market information system in policy and planning. In an interview with GIS News, Dr. Leblanc says the objectives of the workshop were met.
And we examine various aspects of labor market, not only in Dominica but in the international arena and also in the Caribbean. But we focus mostly on the Caribbean, and as we're speaking of the CSM, which is Caribbean Single Market and Economy, and the free movement of skills within the single market. The labor market information system also includes data analysis, data collection, and information dissemination, and we went through all of this during the course of the workshop. We also worked with SPS as a digital statistical tool, software. We had an introduction to it, and we look at various labor market modeling, and we look also at labor market indicators of the International Labour Organization. We look at labor market indicators of the Caribbean, and we also examine several aspects of data collection in Dominica. And the workshop was widely attended by those invitees, and mainly government entities, and also participated with us were the trade unions and the employers federation, representatives from the trade unions organization and the employers federation, and
The workshop was rated 4.8 on a scale of 5 by participants. The second leg of the workshop is planned for early next year.
On the second week of January, from the 9th to the 10th, we will also have a second mission, which will be the second leg of the training, and this time we will work with the system itself, that is the software, and participants will be able to interface with the software itself, see how the applications work, and how they will be able to actually have a practical and hands-on experience with the system, so that once the system is installed early next year, 2017, those who have to interact with it would have already have a working knowledge of it.
The workshop ran from November 14th to 17th and was funded under the 10th European Development Fund. In other news, the Ministry of National Security, through the Office of Disaster Management, has ordered individuals wishing to visit the boiling lake to refrain from doing so until authorities have given the all clear. For the 7th time in 12 years, the boiling lake near the Valley of Desolation in the south of the island has stopped boiling, and visitors are reporting that the water has gone cold. A press release from the Office of Disaster Management states that it has been brought to the attention of relevant authorities that people are now swimming in the lake. People involved in this activity should desist with immediate effect, since the water can return to its original boiling state with little or no warning. The boiling lake is a flooded fumarole, which is an opening in or near a volcano, through which hot sulfurous gases emerge. The lake is approximately 200 feet wide, located 6.5 miles east of the island at Dominica's World Heritage Site, the Montreal Piton National Park. The lake is normally filled with grayish-blue bubbling water, normally ranging from 180 to 197 degrees Fahrenheit. Visitors to the island's most popular tourist attraction reported last week that the lake had drained. The press release also informed that the lake levels have dropped significantly and been restored at least 7 times in the past recorded history: 1876, 1900, 1901, 1971, 1988, and 2004. The Office of Disaster Management, in conjunction with the Forestry Division and the Trinidad-based Seismic Research Center, SRC, of the University of the West Indies, has been monitoring the situation at the boiling lake for the past few days as part of its volcano monitoring program in Dominica. The statement also revealed that scientists at the UE Seismic Research Center have confirmed that changes in the water levels at the boiling lake are not necessarily related to increased volcanic activity in the area or to geothermal exploration. However, during these episodes, harmful gases such as carbon dioxide can be released. Small steam explosions may also occur, and the last such occurrence was sometime between December 2004 and April 2005. People should also avoid visiting the immediate area until the reported activity has subsided. Only officials involved in the monitoring of the boiling lake should venture in that area. You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I had a bleeding disorder that I did not know about, and they had to be transfusing me continuously. I got 56 units.
Being there at the blood bank, I was like, yo, I'm actually saving someone's life.
You never know when you can go.
Give blood. I have done it, and believe it or not, it don't hurt.
I won't be scared. I'll give. You know you're gonna give blood. I'll make sure she does.
Sit down at the blood bank in a comfortable environment for 45 minutes.
Helping people.
You are stimulating your body to make brand new cells.
You get free cookies, you get juice.
Glad to know your blood group. Feels good.
I felt as a better person.
It's a good thing to be alive, and I can thank God that I'm there and I'm enjoying life.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Health and Environment has reported all tests confirm the prevalent strain of influenza affecting Dominica is the H3N2 and H2N2 viruses. In a press release earlier this week, the ministry confirmed an outbreak of acute respiratory infections in Dominica. To this date, the ministry can confirm there are 3 different types of viruses circulating in Dominica, namely the para-influenza A type 2 viruses, the rhinovirus, and the respiratory respiratory syncytial virus. National epidemiologist at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Shaludin Ahmed, confirmed the outbreaks is affecting all 7 health districts and has become more pervasive in the Roseau health districts. He says ongoing investigations have shown that patients suffering with the flu during the outbreak are infected with the H3N2 and H2N2 viruses.
This is very interesting that the virus that we are confirmed from our patients, the presentation, clinical presentation also similar. In the beginning we have seen clinical presentation more like para-influenza type 2, and later in the outbreak now we are seeing more like influenza flu or H3N2. Mostly now we see mostly presenting with muscle ache, headache, extreme fatigue. So this is more similar to influenza type A, H3N2.
Dr. Ahmed encourages members of the general public to get vaccinated, as he says the Ministry of Health has invested heavily in costly flu vaccines. The ministry has ensured that flu vaccines are available at all health facilities for people most at risk for developing complications from the viral infection. He says further vaccination is imperative as there are normally 2 major flu seasons in Dominica, this being the first and the other normally expected around the month of February.
There is a flu vaccine available and very effective for influenza type A, so every health facilities have these vaccines available for people, especially those who are under 5 years and over 65 years. Now the vaccine is available, so please take your vaccine. Those vaccines were not cheap, what I can tell you. Ministry of Health paid a lot of money to get those vaccines to bring it Dominica. In the past we requested to come and get your vaccine. Most or some, they did not take the vaccine, and then essentially we had to actually dump those vaccines because those were expired. So it's important for you to all take your vaccine and prevent yourself from flu-like illness.
Children under 5 years and persons suffering from diabetes, heart problems, asthma, HIV/AIDS and cancer or taking steroid medications are at risk of developing complications from the flu and should contact their healthcare provider as soon as possible if they become ill with the flu. Dr. Ahmed warns on the dangers of home remedies for babies suffering with the influenza without doctor consultations.
Young children, especially less than 1 year old, I wish to tell the parents that to remember not to give any medication to your babies without the consultation of your physician. Often what happens is that we buy off-the-shelf medication, for example Benadryl or antihistamine or antitussive like anti-cough medication. In essence, actually it causes child to block the air passage. That's what the medication does. It dries up your respiratory pathways. So once it dries up the mucus inside your respiratory passage, it actually essentially blocking the passage, and it difficult to breathe. Especially young children like that, they cannot really produce cough on their own to clear up the air passage.
In order to control the spread of the flu, the general public is asked to take necessary measures to protect themselves and others.
I urge the public to listen to the Ministry of Health, what they already circulated in terms of the precaution that they need to take. As the Ministry of Health says, that to remain alert and prevent themselves from getting the flu. And instruction that released from the Ministry of Health includes the washing of hands with soap and water frequently. I mean, this message has been going out over and over again. I'm not sure how many people are actually taking into account that we should do that. Some may say, yeah, I'm doing it every day, so nothing is changing. What I can tell you is that this actually breaks the chain of transmission. That's very important. For example, you have the flu and you are washing hands more often than that you used to. What it does, it actually prevents you to spread to your friend, to your family member, and in essence is actually prevent a community to spreading to another community or another society.
On Sunday, November 20th, Dominica will join the rest of the world in recognizing Universal Children's Day. According to the United Nations, Universal Children's Day was established in 1954 and is celebrated on November 20th each year to promote international togetherness, awareness among children worldwide, and improving children's welfare. November 20th is an important date as it is the date in 1959 when the UN General Assembly adopted the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. It is also the date in 1989 when the UN General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Since 1990, Universal Children's Day also marks the anniversary of the date that the UN General Assembly adopted both the Declaration and the Convention on Children's Rights. Mothers and fathers, teachers, nurses and doctors, government leaders and civil society activists, religious and community elders, corporate moguls and media professionals, as well as young people and children themselves, can play an important part in making Universal Children's Day relevant for their societies, communities and nations. Several schools across the island held activities on Friday in observance of this day. Universal Children's Day offers each of us an inspirational entry point to advocate, promote and celebrate children's rights, translating into dialogues and actions that will build a better world for children. And that's the news. Coming up next, your tip of the day.
Protection from abuse is every child's right. Everyone has a shared responsibility in protecting the child from abuse.
Mothers, believe your children when they say they've been abused, and follow through with child abuse cases when they've been reported.
For more information on child abuse or to report suspected cases on child abuse, contact the Social Welfare Division on 33 Great Marlborough Street or call 266-3020 or 266-3080.
Good health habits can help stop germs and stop the spread of the flu. Here are some tips in doing so. Avoid close contact with other people when infected. Avoid touching your eyes, nose or mouth. Cover your mouth and nose with tissue when sneezing or coughing. Wash and sanitize your hands frequently. And finally, to avoid the flu altogether, get vaccinated. That's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. Live streaming is also available on our YouTube channel 24 hours a day. From all of us here at the GIS News production team, I am Prisca Julien. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.